So what have you learned as a legal intern?
Outcomes in court do not seem to have much to do with the merits of law or the evidence.
Welcome to the real world of legal practice.
I spent days of work on each case, doing research, writing briefs, gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, and taking depositions, and the judge barely looked at any of it.
You did a lot of excellent work. You will make a good lawyer. But most of that work will only preserve arguments for appeal.
But as an intern I cannot make an appeal. Will the firm do that if I do most of the staff work?
We would like to, but the firm cannot afford it. We have used our interns to meet our quota of pro bono work. But too many clients cannot pay us. We may have to shed a few junior associates.
But a couple of lawyers clearly committed malpractice. They sold out their clients to the opposition.
The firm is not going to take a malpractice case against another lawyer. If we did, we would never win another case in court. The judges would put us out of business.
But this is one of the most prestigious law firms in the area. You even have a former partner on the bench.
That would not help us if we broke any of the unspoken rules.
Too many of the judges do not follow their own rules. Can we not file complaints to get them removed from the bench?
That would be breaking another unspoken rule. We do not dare even criticize a judge, much less file a complaint of judicial misconduct.
Are they that afraid of such complaints?
Not at all. Most such complaints are just ignored. But in many jurisdictions the complaints are collected by the prosecutors, who use them to blackmail judges into giving them wins, by threatening to prosecute them under the complaints.
So complaints of judicial misconduct may be used to produce even worse judicial misconduct.
Yes. About the only kind of misconduct that seems to get attention these days is sexual harassment.
One of the prosecutors hit on me, suggesting he might give me a win if I slept with him.
Attractive lawyers get that a lot, and not just female lawyers. Wait until it comes from a judge.
Oh my God. I thought that kind of thing was rare, but it is not.
No, it is not. It was in my father's day, but now misconduct is so common that it is accepted as the new normal.
Don't we as lawyers have a duty to fight back?
Yes, but there will be a price to pay. I dream of doing that after I have got enough assets safely offshore, so I can afford to leave the firm. It would not be fair to them to do it before I retire. But I do not have enough assets since my wife left me and sued for divorce. It was a judge who got her to do that, after I discovered he was dirty.
Cannot the state bar do something?
The state bar is under the control of the judges. It was sold as a way to protect the public from bad lawyers, but it has become a way to protect bad lawyers from the public, and to suppress competition from competent laypersons.
Oh my God. I cannot believe it has gotten this bad.
Not all branches of legal practice are as bad. As an intern you have gotten mostly indigent clients. There is an old saying, it is better to be rich and guilty than poor and innocent. But no one is more than one false accusation from prison. Not even you or me. However, you could have an entire career in a field like corporate law in which you would never encounter most of this corruption, and might come to think it does not exist.
In one's case we had proof the prosecution witnesses were lying, and the prosecutors knew it. But the judge would not allow us to present the evidence.
It is called testifying. Remember, most judges are former prosecutors.
And in one case a judge flat out lied to the jury about what the law was, and would not allow us to prove what the law really was to the jury.
It is called instruct-lying. When the jury only gets one side on what the law is, they usually do not know enough to doubt what they are told.
What can we do? The public needs to know about this. If I am ever called for jury duty, I will know, but most people will not.
It is unlikely you will ever have to serve on a jury. Both sides prefer to weed out educated people, especially lawyers. They know better how to appeal to emotion and prejudice than to intelligence. You will learn that, too.
How can we reach the general public?
I have tried speaking to high school classes and student groups, but the word got back about what I was doing and suddenly the invitations stopped coming.
Do they really reach that far?
The establishment knows how to protect itself. Make the wrong arguments or other moves and you are likely to be hit with tens of thousands of dollars in sanctions, disbarred, audited, or falsely accused and prosecuted for a crime.
Are there no honest judges left?
There may be a few, and most judges are somewhat honest in most ordinary cases. But there is a large and growing class of cases that must be called political, in which legal merit doesn't matter. Very few judges are appointed anymore on whom the appointing officials don't have enough dirt to control them. And elected judges depend on the financial support of the big law firms.
Why are more people not outraged about this?
More and more are, but it is too easy to think injustice only happens to other people, until it happens to you or someone you know. And then you become so consumed by your own case that you lose sight of how the problem is systemic.
So it is not just a problem of corrupt individuals?
No. It once was, when there were few, but there is a tipping point after which the rotten apples spoil the whole barrel.
If only more lawyers would stand up against all this.
Some have tried, and they deserve our admiration. But most of them are poor. There is a lot more money behind injustice than behind justice.
Are lawyers just too greedy?
Lawyers are not more greedy or unethical than the general public, but they need to be much better than that. However, it is not just about greed. The way the system works, one often wins by driving up the costs of the opposition until they run out of money. Justice is a lot more expensive than injustice.
What will it take? People demonstrating in the streets?
That is the only thing that seemed to work in early times. Many of the rights we can claim today came from mass public riots. A few judges had to be lynched and courthouses burned down. I hope it will not come to that again.